This morning we're going to talk about one of the most important and influential photojournalists in American history, Arthur Rothstein. If he were still alive today, he would be celebrating 100 years. In 1938, Arthur was on assignment in Key West, so this morning we'll show you some of the photographs that were taken during that time. They are on display at the Key West Art and Historical Society Custom House Museum. We'll also talk about his 50-year career with his daughter, Anne. Anne, it is such a pleasure to have you here on the show. You have to be so thrilled to be down here in Key West and see all of his amazing work.
Oh, Cori Convertito, the curator, has done such a magnificent job. She's so talented.
Speaking of talent, your father, he is so talented. Now, we can't cover all of his 50-year career this morning, but we can touch on some of the highlights. And I think one of the things that your father has to be most known for is the Dust Bowl photograph. Tell us the story behind it.
Absolutely right. It's remarkable that he took that photograph when he was 20 years old. Actually 21. He had 21. It was 1936. And he was in Cimarron County, Oklahoma, and he was there to photograph this farm family, the Coble family, on their desolate farm. And as you know, in the 1930s, there was a terrible problem, the Dust Bowl, and it was caused by two things. The fact that there had been a drought that actually lasted about 10 years. And then over that, it was a man-made disaster. So farmers had planted wheat relentlessly and they didn't give any thought to soil erosion. So there was a terrible problem and all of the topsoil was churned under to plant wheat. And it caused these dust storms. The soil came up and swirled through the air. It was stinging dirt and it flew through the air and it caused something called dust pneumonia, and it killed people and livestock and made everybody sick. It was a terrible time. So Dad was in Cimarron County, Oklahoma at the Coble's farm showing how people were managing to live under these circumstances. And he had had a tour of the farm and he was waving goodbye to the Cobles, and they made a run for their home because a dust storm was kicking up, and Dad was taking a run to his 1936 Ford, which had no paint on one side of the car because it had been bombarded by these dust storms. And as he turned around, he took the last frame on his roll of film, and that was the dust storm picture.
And that photo was definitely meant to be.
Yeah.
And what was it like being his daughter? You had to have had some fabulous family photo albums.
Actually, we were used, he has 4 children. Dad and Mom, Grace and Arthur Rothstein, have 4 children, and all 4 of us were used as models from time to time. In fact, I was used as the post-sugar crisp girl, and for years I was on billboards. And when our parents used to take us for long family vacations, I would see myself up on a billboard. It was thrilling.
It had to have been thrilling, I'm sure. What would you say you want people to remember most about your father? Besides the photographs, what about him as a person?
My dad was he was known as a social documentary photographer. He was a photographer's photographer. He gave back to the community of photography. He taught. He mentored younger photographers. Beautiful photography is just a part of what he'd want to be remembered for.
If your father was still alive, he would be celebrating 100 years. During those 100 years, he was down here in Key West in 1938. Tell us about his time here on the island.
Dad was in Florida, and he went down to Key West, and he covered all the elements that he always covers in one of his photo essays. And he did that because Roy Stryker, who was his boss, told all of his photographers to get every aspect of a community, show what life was like in that community. I would love it if everyone came to this exhibit, because you're not only learning about my dad's very interesting history, and you're not only looking at beautiful photographs, but you're learning about the history of America. It's fascinating. It really is.
I agree with you, Anne. Everybody has to make their way down here to the Custom House Museum and see your father's amazing photographs. It has been such a pleasure talking with you on the show. Please come back the next time you are in town. And to all of our viewers out there, you have until November to make your way to the Key West Art and Historical Society Custom House Museum and see photographs by Arthur Rothstein that were taken during his time on the island in 1938.